Hi, my name is Mark from AIP Essentials, and welcome to our channel and website. We are dedicated towards helping people learn about AIP so they can better understand the how and the why behind the lifestyle. We tend to focus on education on the early stages of AIP, so we really concentrate on the basics and try to help you go as fast and as quickly and easily as possible on your healing journey. We really want to get you feeling right in your skin again, and that starts by treating your body right and listening to yourself and eating the right foods. I promise you, once you turn the corner with AIP, you will become more enthusiastic about life. You'll have so much to gain by getting into AIP. I have no doubt that one day you'll look back on this decision in hindsight and think about it as one of the better decisions you've made in a long time. And we really believe that the faster you peel off that Band-Aid that is the standard American diet, the sooner you'll get back on your feet and look at the life you had in the rearview mirror. The key for many of you will be finding ways to make vegetables palatable and to experiment with new dishes. You need to eat lots of vegetables for their fiber and their rich array of nutrients. So the more variety and diversity of vegetables in your diet, the better, so long as you're picking from the available list of foods on the AIP diet. For vegetables, luckily that includes almost all of them. You want to obviously avoid nightshades. That's a big no-no on AIP. Nightshades are things like potatoes and bell peppers, and you can Google the full list. And I encourage you to do so. It's very important. So today's recipe is not rocket science. In fact, none of the recipes at AIP Essentials are rocket science. We really are consistent about giving you simple yet tasty and exceptionally nutritious meals that you'll kind of go to over and over and over again as staples of your diet. So you're not going to find things like AIP pizza recipes on our site. It really goes against our credo in a way because, let the way that you used to eat go. There's plenty of opportunity with the vegetables and proteins and fats to really get a lot of flavor, and you're not going to be disappointed not eating AIP pizza, believe me. When it comes to buying vegetables on AIP, you got to aim for a few things. First of all, always go for non-GMO and organic produce. For example, did you know that GMO produce are actually engineered to have more lectin in them? Lectin is actually the protective part of the seed that keeps bugs away. It's toxic to bugs. And so it makes sense for GMO crops to have an increase in lectin, but it just so happens that lectin is really harsh on people that have autoimmune disease, and it can spike your inflammation, and you're not going to feel good on that. So GMO is an absolute no-go. Do everything you can to get organic produce and fruit. The sprays that they use on non-organic fruit are endocrine disruptors, and they're not going to make you feel good if you're suffering from Hashimoto's or any of the autoimmune diseases that affect your hormone glands. So good riddance to GMO and conventional non-organic produce. Now, the next best thing to do when you're buying those vegetables is go to the farmer's market. Again, not all farmers are organic at the farmer's market, so don't be fooled. You always have to ask or see the sign. Additionally, if you really want to get into it, talk to your produce farmers and ask them whether they use regenerative farming practices as opposed to conventional monocropping methods. And really when you're using regenerative techniques, you're rotating the soil a lot, and a lot of the nutrients actually come from the soil. So when you're just planting the same crop over and over in the same spot year over year over year, you're really not giving the soil a chance to regain its nutrients and give that to the vegetable ultimately. All right, everybody, good news. We are ready for the recipe. Today's vegetable soup will include scallions, some broccoli stalks that I've saved from previous dishes, cauliflower, carrots, a head of garlic, 2 onions, Out of broccoli, 2 Japanese sweet potatoes, 1 white sweet potato, yellow squash, and zucchini. We will use a chicken broth from Riverside Farms, Fall Riverside Farms in Kentucky, and we have some Himalayan salt. All right, so obviously one of the first things that we're gonna do is clean all the vegetables and prepare them. So let's start with the onions and the garlic, since we can get that simmering on the stove while we process the other vegetables. All right, you'll notice that I didn't really chop this onion too finely, and I just mashed each one of these garlic cloves and then just chopped it. It doesn't have to be fine. It's going into the soup and getting pureed anyway. So let's go ahead and get that going. All right, so I've been preheating my pot for a little bit. I'm just gonna put it on medium heat, put some olive oil in there. And now just put this in. Now while that's going, I'm gonna go work on preparing the other vegetables, making sure to mix this every once in a while so the onions on the bottom don't burn. All right, so I'm gonna work on these stalks first. I'm just gonna trim the leaves off of them and clean them up just a little bit. In the end, we end up taking these out, but there's a lot of nutrition in them, so we put them into the soup to give it some flavor and extra vitamins. All right, our broccoli stalks are ready. Let's give our scallions a wash from all the dirt. So when you get food from the farmer's market, this is what you end up with. That's what you want to see. All right, let's check on the onions again. Getting there, needs a little bit more time. Need to be just a little bit softer. All right, let's do some of this squash. All right, do the zucchini. All right, we're done with our peeling, so I'm just gonna prepare some more of the vegetables to drop them into the pot. I have to cut the tips off the zucchinis, off the squashes, dice the carrots, dice the potatoes, but generally in big chunks because it's gonna get pureed towards the end. I will save some of the vegetables and I'll toss them in towards the very tail end of the soup making process. So those pieces kind of make the soup a little bit chunkier and you have something to bite into when you're eating it. And when you're buying the broth, well, hopefully you're making your own if you have time. If you don't have the time and have to buy it, make sure to check the ingredients. A lot of them will have ingredients that are not AIP compliant. Other things you want to look for are how many bones they put into the broth, because that improves the collagen, the amount of collagen in the broth, which is something that is important for the AIP diet. Let me check on my onions. Very, very close. I'll save that cauliflower. I'll save this for the tail end. I'll save some potatoes for the tail end. Maybe some carrots. All right, that's gonna go in towards the tail end. All right, let's go check on these onions. Let's go ahead and add some water to that. This is the base to our soup, actually. We can crank up the heat and start putting some vegetables in. So I'll typically start with the harder vegetables, like the stalks. I'll generally fish these out towards the tail end, but this stuff I'll just blend. Let's put some of these scallions in there too. All right, I'll let that cook for just a little bit. Then I'll put the squash and zucchini in and some of the cauliflower and broccoli towards the tail end, and we're gonna be in good shape. All right, let's see how things are doing over here. Okay, we got it to a boil. Give it a stir. All right, let's toss in our broth. Toss in some more vegetables. And we're pretty much at the top of our pot, and we still have some to go. We may need a bigger pot. Let's just see how this goes for a little bit. I'm gonna leave the lid off so some of the water can evaporate. No, you don't go outside. You don't have to go outside. You're not an upper cat. No. All right, let's fish some of these stalks out of here. The next thing we do. I think that's all of them. I just tossed these. Let's put in some more of our vegetables. Get our cauliflower and our broccoli in. Getting close to completing this soup. I'm actually just gonna toss in another bit of the broth. Make it extra healthy. All right, let's prepare these. Final stretch. Now these should just be little bite-sized pieces, so I like to make these pretty small. All right, there's our final batch. We'll toss that in just a bit, right after we puree the soup. All right, let's see how this is doing. Cauliflower still needs a little bit of time before we puree everything. Let's give it a couple more minutes. Okay, so final steps here. Let's puree it, season it, and put in our chunks for the very end. So I have a lot of people puree in a Vitamix or something like that. I have a handheld pureer as well. This can splash and kind of burn, so you got to be very careful. All right, we're in pretty good shape here. All right, so let's give it some seasoning. I know it'll take at least 2 tablespoons of salt. Which is exactly what I have in here. And I like to add a little bit of the Primal Palette Superhero seasoning as well. Add about 2 tablespoons of that as well. Go ahead and mix that in. And now we can add our chunks. And we are almost overflowing, but we made it. Cover that and let it simmer for a bit. And we're pretty much done. There you have it, folks. AIP Pureed Vegetable Soup by AIP Essentials. You have about 18 servings right here. You can scale this up and down however you like. It's delicious, nutrient rich, organic, through and through, with high quality chicken broth. Absolutely delicious. Enjoy.